Joining me now, the co-host of The Five, Juan Williams, political reporter for the Daily Caller, Kerry Picket, and Trump campaign surrogate, Carl Higbie. Great to have you all here. Kerry, let's start with you. This convention, Make America Safe, is a theme tonight against the backdrop of what has happened in Turkey and Nice, in Baton Rouge, in Dallas, in communities across this country. The theme could not be more appropriate and more compelling for, I would guess, nearly every American.
Absolutely. And right now, the American people want to be reassured that going forward, they will have some type of security, because they're wondering what exactly is going to happen as far as whether or not they will be able to protect themselves, whether it's through the Second Amendment, whether or not our foreign policy is going to be that of appeasement, or whether or not our foreign policy is going to be that of going after ISIS strong and hard.
And Juan, obviously, the Republican convention is going to make it clear in their judgment that this president is a failed president, his foreign policy a disaster, without even one success to highlight in his so-called legacy. Your thoughts as you're watching what is proceeding here?
Well, I think that what you have to understand is how Donald Trump offers an alternative. What is the alternative to the policy being executed right now? I'm looking forward to that. What we're seeing, though, today is the condemnation of Barack Obama's foreign policy, just as you described it, Lou. And I think before this convention, I don't think there's any argument that one of the things that unifies the Republican Party is condemnation of Barack Obama, and in specific, just as we heard a few moments ago, the kind of powerful condemnation of what happened in Benghazi. So that really carries a message. It's symbolic. I know we can have arguments about it, you and I, but it's much larger and works for this audience at this Republican convention.
And against the backdrop of all of these recent events, Carl, I can't imagine it not being compelling, as I said, for nearly every American, whether in Cleveland, Ohio, or any other community in this country, as we watch failure after failure and rising danger from nearly every quarter, and threats and challenges, whether it be China, whether it be Russia, whether it be Iran, or now Turkey.
Right, and I think Juan hit it right on the head, Lou, when he said that the Benghazi energy is here. I mean, when they were up there giving the speech on Benghazi, the energy in the room, people were standing and cheering and screaming at different times. I mean, that is not a dead issue. And what is going on nationally and globally is just a further personification of Hillary's policies here. I mean, look, Benghazi was just the tip of the iceberg. ISIS sprung up because of her reign. I mean, this is a big problem, and national security is going to be the head of this spear. So I think Donald Trump is the only one that the American people, left or right, are going to trust to have any strength whatsoever.
And also the issue of the administration's war on law enforcement. The President of the United States saying straightforwardly that he believes that the law enforcement should acknowledge their mistakes in order to solve the problem. He has not supported law enforcement. He has criticized law enforcement time and time again. This would not have happened under any other president in my lifetime. I don't understand why he has taken this position.
And think about this, Lou. You have how many consent decrees have been forced upon all of these police precincts all over the United States who have essentially agreed to the Justice Department consent decrees with these local monitors.
Right.
And on top of that, all these local police precincts have also lost a lot of their vehicles that they've gotten through the Justice Department, or actually via Pentagon. Many
even as the threat is rising.
Yeah, and they said, well, you can't use this vehicle because it looks too military. And these guys are saying, wait, we need this vehicle for search and rescue. And it's a punishment for Baltimore and Ferguson.
The Ferguson
and
effect.
Cops are afraid to do their job. Yeah.
The Ferguson
Lou,
effect, Juan.
Cops are afraid to do their jobs. Yeah.
Juan, your thoughts?
Well, see, I just take for a different point of view. I think one of the reasons that you've not heard this from any other president in your lifetime, Lou, is you've never had a black president. And this black president, I think, is giving voice to tremendous frustration in the black community over this issue. The question, and I hear this question and I take it to heart, which is it fueling the kinds of attacks, the violence that comes from people who are protesting and have, in my mind, a legitimate grievance, but who are
Are you talking about Black Lives Matter? Because
Yes.
so you support them?
I don't support that. A lot of, in fact,
Well, let's be very candid.
You know,
They've
very
contributed
critical of
nothing.
them.
They've contributed nothing to a dialogue in this. In point of fact, they are filled with hate. It is a hate group, as far as I'm concerned.
But no, see, I differ. I don't.
Well, that's why I'm raising.
I don't think that they're a hate group. I think that they are, for many Americans, raising an issue that has been, you know, it's been very real. But now you have these videos showing how things happen, and people get upset. But the criticism I've had of Black Lives Matter is that they don't have an agenda. They often lash out. Even President Obama has said you have to have some constructive way to solve a problem. You can't just badmouth people.
But you know what, Juan, a big problem, though, with the Black Lives Matter is, even though one can say, well, they're not the ones necessarily who are causing all the destruction,
Right.
very often, I mean, look, I was on the ground during both riots for Ferguson. I was even detained in Ferguson, even being arrested for that matter. Right. And the thing here is that they will turn the other way.
Who's they?
Black Lives Matter, a number of other protesters, when the destruction happens, when the gangs go in there, when they start smashing the windows and so on and so forth, and they'll say, well,
How can you have an organization named Black Lives Matter? Could you have one that says Hispanic Lives Matter, White Lives Matter?
That in itself is a racist.
Carl, I'm sorry?
If that in itself is racist, to say only one, yes, say only one life matters, that is racist in itself. And I think that the fact we need to look at, they have contributed to no positive movement in the racial divide in America. Zero positive. They are yet to articulate what they actually want. Sure, they want equality, but come on.
Wait a second. Equality is a big deal if you're in the minority, Carl. But I would say, I was just listening to you, Carl, and I was thinking, in fact, what you're hearing from them is not anything but, we are concerned that black, especially poor black people, oftentimes the police are a thin blue line between the rest of the nation and poor black community. And you see them now saying, you know what, black lives do matter. And so when people say, oh, well, all lives matter, it sounds like you're undermining the effort to raise attention to the use of police force, sometimes excessive force, against black people.
We're going to have to turn. Mark Geist, one of the heroes of the Benghazi